Good morning, everybody. It is that time again. Early morning crypto talk. Bitcoin Brandon here. We're going to get started in just a second. Hope you guys are having a good start to your day so far. I know I am, but it's chilly here in California this morning. Anything new and exciting happened in the crypto world so far today? Good morning, Richard, Angela, Dean. It says Reno's in the house. What's happening, my brother Greg Thurman? Charlie Cash. Doing good, doing good. This is a buyer's market. Hold the line. How you doing, Tanisha? Nicholas from Finland, welcome. My brother Tim Miller. Your family's in my prayers, man. Tanisha says right, buying. What's going on in the crypto world? Will the bleeding ever stop? We're going to talk about that in a second here. How you doing, my foos? Mr. King. Mia, hello. Good morning, Karen. Robert Wood from the UK. What's happening? Hey, don't think I don't see you sneaking in here as Marette. Say hello to me from time to time. What's going on, Jonathan Harris? Chris Hanks, what's happening? Aloha, Renee. You are up early. Gerald Gardner, representing Detroit. Let's see here. What are we going to start with? Since Renee said aloha, you know what? We're going to start with Hawaii. What's going on in Hawaii? And I will put this link in the chat box. But before I begin, as a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving and dispensing financial advice. I am just a guy that invests in the cryptocurrency market, that reads the news and shares my opinion and suggestions on things. You take that information, do your own research, and do what you will with it. What are our pillars of surviving in the cryptocurrency world? Number one, never, ever, ever invest money you cannot afford to lose. Because I guarantee you, somewhere along the line, you're going to lose somewhere. I don't know what, I don't know when, I don't know how much, I don't know how, but I know you will. You'll have profits, you'll have losses. Know it going in. Number two, ROI. Get your return on investment as fast as possible. Don't get greedy. Get it out. Now you're playing with house money, and you've eliminated the risk. It's all about marginalizing your risks. There's always going to be risk. And then number three, have a plan of action. Where do you want to be in the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months financially? What are you doing to make that happen? And stick to the game plan. Don't get distracted. This space is vast. There's always something happening. There's always a new ICO. There's always a new company. There's always something. Don't let FOMO, in other words, fear of missing out, get you caught up and stretched thin with your resources that you can't afford to be in. This is not the shotgun approach. You just shoot mud at the wall and see what sticks. Doesn't work that way. It's not gambling. Got to be smart. That's where education comes in. Education allows you to navigate these waters. Like you're in a canoe and you're rough river canoeing. All right, so let's talk about Hawaii. Those of you that's just joining us, good morning. All right, so Hawaii says Hawaii's new money transmitters act will require virtual currency licenses. What does that mean? This is the first time I'm hearing that in the United States, licenses. The state of Hawaii is planning to regulate the use of Bitcoin and digital currencies that will require licensure to transmit cryptocurrency-based funds. Two bills introduced by a group of partisan Hawaii lawmakers focused on digital currencies as a monetary instrument under the state's Money Transmitters Act. So they are calling it a monetary instrument, whereas the IRS and the SEC calls it property. You see how the laws can change? This is why you need to know what's going on and updated at any given moment. This is why I do 2 Facebook Lives a day. I used to do it once every couple of days. Couldn't keep up. Then I switched it to once a day. Still couldn't keep up. What's happening, Lashana? Then I have to do it twice a day. And even then, it's hard to keep up. But this is your education. It is always ongoing. There is no such thing as a cryptocurrency expert. Maybe yesterday you were, but today is a new day, new information, which makes whatever you knew yesterday obsolete. So let's talk about this new law change, this new definition. That's what they call it. New definitions applied to the Hawaiian Money Transmission Act. Last week, Hawaiian bureaucrats reviewed a proposed bill, H1SB 3082, that aims to tether regulatory policies to digital currency transmitters. The proposed law adds new definitions like virtual currency exchanges, transfers, and storage. The bill will apply to anyone credited with virtual currencies, moving them, relinquishing control, and any use tied to a medium of exchange if passed. The laws will recognize Bitcoin as a permissible investment and statutory trust. Although, if the statutes does pass, anyone who plans to transmit Bitcoin and other forms of digital assets must apply for licensure. So in other words, everybody in Hawaii in the crypto space, if you're trying to exchange or do anything with cryptocurrency, you're going to have to apply for a license. That's one way to make sure they got you locked down and you're paying your taxes. I hope you guys in Hawaii know this is going on. They could slip this one past you without you even knowing about it. Last year, Coinbase left the state of Hawaii. See that? Due to the state's proposed laws, which will require licensed virtual currency transmitters to hold USD reserves. The recently submitted SB 3082 has changed this requirement for specific qualified trading platforms. Applicants who want to apply for virtual currency transmission will be required to reveal a lot of information, like the applicant's name and principal address, prior criminal convictions, a description of... Do you need all this stuff when you're getting a bank account? No, you just walk in there with cash. You can set up a bank account and a utility bill. Listen to this. Let me read that part again. The applicants who apply are required to reveal their name, principal address, prior criminal convictions, a description of the business activities, sample of the virtual currency instruments or products, and the name and address of the clearing banks involved. What? What are you talking about here? Might as well give up your left arm too. You know what's getting me there? Description of business activities. But you need to know what my business activity is. In their state, they say, well, we need to make sure you're not doing any criminal activity. We need to make sure you're not ISIS. You are from Hawaii, you know, they say that's the land where Obama supposedly was born. So, you know, some criminal activity might be taking place. Crazy. Further, for each virtual currency sale, exchanges must provide its customers with some form of a receipt? That's already done on the exchanges. You get a confirmation that the transaction was made. That must not be good enough for them. Some form of a receipt? On every virtual... All right, if you're a day trader, think how asinine... You know, I don't want to use that word. How logistically impossible this is. What if people are doing multiple trades a day, a minute? That's going on. Yeah, you're right, Andrew. They want a paper trail. Good grief. Each licensee who receives money or monetary value for transmission and the licensee's authorized delegates shall provide a receipt to the customer that clearly states the amount of money or equivalent value presented for transmission and the total of the fees charged by the license. First of all, this is already public info on the blockchain. But that's not good enough for them because all they see is an address. They don't know who the two parties involved are. This is the empire right now. This is the empire. Regulating, taxing to death. Big brother. One notable section describes virtual currencies as based upon computational cryptography and derive their value solely from the market's perception of their value. You know, the people who write this bill, you can tell they have no understanding of cryptocurrency. The banks realize something very quickly. It's logistically, and South Korea's run into this problem, it's logistically impossible to track all of this. They don't have the manpower. Hawaii's going to figure that out real quick too. That's why I said these people don't understand cryptocurrency. They've never traded it. They don't know how it works. Virtual currencies can experience great swings. These currencies are not backed by any physical commodity such as gold or silver. Neither is the US dollar. Hold up. They're going to get on cryptocurrency because it's not backed by gold and silver. The US dollar hasn't been on the gold standard since 1971. Then they say, well, not backed by the United States or any other national government. What good did that do? What? 2008. The US dollar supposedly is backed by the US government, yet the crash still happened. People lost their jobs, they lost their homes, they lost their 401k, they lost their savings, they lost their retirement, they lost their pensions. And the government that's supposed to step in to save us, they didn't save us. They bailed out the banks and businesses that were too big to fail. How many of you guys got bailouts? And none of those guys who, they bailed out the people who got us in this mess, and none of them went to jail. The bill further details that consumers can lose all their cryptocurrencies though through many attack vectors: computer failure, malicious software attack, an attack. Yeah, kind of like how Hawaii had a warning missile on its way. This is not a drill. Anybody go to jail over that one? I know somebody got fired. And then they lied to us. The first thing they said was, oh, well, it's a drop-down menu and the guy selected the wrong tab. And then 2 weeks later, the truth comes out. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He just got confused. What? We're supposed to rely on them? The bill further notes, some virtual currency users have been unable to access their legitimate virtual currency account because of heavy traffic by other users or a prevalence of criminal activity in virtual currency. Okay, stop right there. I covered this last night. The wording, prevalence of criminal activity. Where? Give us an example of this prevalence of criminal activity. Show us, ISIS bank accounts. What do you mean? What drug trafficker is doing a prevalence of criminal activity? See, they just throw stuff out. Remember the three things a government does. Number one, they criminalize it. Number two, they ban it. And then number three, they regulate and tax it to death. It says, to protect yourself, become educated, I agree with that, as to the potential risks before deciding whether you want to transact in virtual currency. I agree with that last statement. Wholeheartedly. Become educated. Me and Jairus Coleman, we spent months educating ourselves before we invested. He invested $500, I invested $100. The rest is history. Hawaiian officials, take a look at this. Wait a minute, what's today's date? The 2nd, no, today's the 1st. Wow, why was I thinking yesterday was the 1st? Hawaiian officials will have a public hearing on SB 3082 on February 2nd, that's tomorrow, at 9 a.m. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Hawaii time. There's going to be a public hearing on this. The newly reformed Money Transmission Act passed at first reading on January 26. That's because nobody knew what was going on. This is when you have an uneducated public, the politicians can do whatever the heck they want. And then the public screams about it after the fact, once they realize what just happened. Dang. Sorry, Hawaii. All right, let's go on to some other news here. U.S. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency taxes demystified. Demystified, huh? Guys want to know what's going on with your taxes? Let's see what this article has to say. What has changed since the last time I read an article about taxes? Bitcoin had a sterling performance in 2017 as the cryptocurrency effortlessly made new highs almost on a weekly basis. However, cryptocurrency enthusiasts have been dancing to an entirely different crypto tune this year. Yeah, because the Empire Strikes Back. Last year was episode 4, A New Hope. This year it's episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Specifically, the U.S. tax authorities will no longer tolerate crypto tax evasion. Henceforth, every Bitcoin and other crypto transaction will be taxed by the United States IRS. Yeah, and they're going to tax you multiple times. All activities eligible. You hear that? All activities. Now, don't get this confused. The tax law and these changes start from 2018 and beyond. So what you're filing for right now is under 2017 tax code. Okay? So this is all new information for next year, when you file next year for 2018. The IRS has got its knives all sharpened and is set to start cutting its share. It's like you're at a barbecue, right? And you're sitting at the kids' table. And you look at the adults' table, and you see the type of ribs and food and steak they're eating, and you got the little kiddie food. And you're like, next year I'm going to be at the big boy table. That's what the IRS has been like for the last couple of years. They're seeing this crypto space exploding, all this money to be made. Then they look at the reports, and only 800-something people in the entire United States reported crypto earnings. 800. So they're like, hold up. Where's our piece? We need to get on the big boy table. And that's what they're doing. They got their knives and forks sharpened and ready to cut into this. Digital currency investors need to be prepared for the task ahead instead of being reactionary, since obedience is better than sacrifice. I agree with that. You know, Cedric Harris did a Facebook Live the other day, and he was talking about taxes. This is not something you are going to win. You may think you're slick and you can get around something for a couple of years. They will come back on you. You can't, nobody beats the IRS. It's in your favor to just pay the taxes. I don't know, in Canada, they want to charge you 50%. Good grief. But pay your taxes. You're going to make enough money. You gotta get it in your head that when you make that money, it's not yours. I know, it sucks. It sucks. Just take 50% of whatever you make and consider it gone. At least 50% and consider it gone. You know, when I made so much money, I remember my dad was like, yeah, I see how much money you're making, but I don't really see your lifestyle has changed. I said, because I'm not living off of that. You got put aside for savings. You got to put aside for tithing. You got to put aside to reinvest in your business. You got to put aside for the tax man. That's at least 50% of all your money. And then you don't even live off the 50% that's left over. Maybe 25 to 30% is what you live on. If you're making $100,000 a month, you should be living off of $30,000 a month. Not $80,000 a month. Pay your taxes. The government body is more considerate with those who come forward with their taxes voluntarily than those who wait to be caught evading taxes and then forced to pay more through penalties. In essence, the IRS will tax all transactions related to, listen to this, mining, spending, trading, exchanging, and airdropping of cryptocurrencies. They're going to tax you multiple times here, is what they're saying. You're going to get taxed for capital gains, meaning just by holding the crypto, you're going to get taxed. They're going to tax you again when the crypto rises in value. They're going to tax you again when you trade it into other cryptos. They're going to tax you a capital gains tax when you move it from crypto into fiat currency. And then they're going to tax you for income earned. It's Ronald Reagan classic playbook. You criminalize it. That doesn't work, you ban it. When that doesn't work, you co-opt it, regulate it, and tax it to death. That's what they're doing here. With only a handful of crypto investors remitting their crypto taxes since Bitcoin's launch, the IRS suspects that many virtual currency investors have been evading taxes. This new information that I'm sharing is for tax season 2018 and beyond. 2017 is under the old law. But I wouldn't put it past the IRS to go back on you with current law. They've done it before, unless you get a good tax attorney to fight it. Although the state authority has not provided enough guidance regarding Bitcoin taxation, authorities are treating virtual currencies as property for tax purposes. Therefore, all activities like selling, spending, and even exchanging one crypto for another, receiving crypto as compensation, and all other digital currency related activities all likely have capital gain implications. Crypto trading attracts taxes. Traders will either gain or lose, but losses offset gains and reduce tax. Here's a problem with that concept of losses. This isn't NASDAQ. This isn't Forex. This isn't the New York Stock Exchange. The only way we lose is if we... Oh, I just got an idea. I just got an idea. I don't know if I can say this publicly. And I won't. I'll save it for when we launch our education platform. You got to be a member to get this info. Losses offset gains and reduce tax. I just got a good idea. All I will say is this. Yeah, you want to keep records. Like right now, you see how the market has dropped considerably? It might be in your favor to keep a record that you bought when it was like at 13,000. And it dropped now. It's at 9,000. Let me see. Let me hit refresh because this thing's dropping like a rock. $9,100, which meant you lost almost $4,000 in volume. Huh. Now, I'm not saying you sold your coin. I'm saying you lost value of $4,000. How might someone may want to report that? Let me keep my mouth shut. Continue reading this. All right. For example, when Bitcoin is used to buy other cryptocurrencies, it's treatable as a taxable event. Getting paid in cryptocurrency is also treated as an ordinary income based on the market price of the virtual currency when it was received. When you spend virtual currencies, the IRS gets another share since you might have made long or short-term gains or losses from your holding. For instance, if a person bought one coin for $100 and that same currency later appreciates in value and becomes $200, and then you purchase something with this appreciation, there is a $100 taxable gain. Is it only when they purchase something with the 100? Because most people will sit and hold. Depending on the holding period, oh yeah, let me shut up, Brandon, just read. Depending on the holding period, it could be a short or long-term gain, and thus their rates vary. Converting cryptocurrency to fiat will also attract the IRS, since it can be a capital-generating activity. When there is an airdrop, after a hard fork or any other kind of airdrop, the tax authorities handle it as an ordinary income on the day it occurs. That means when there's a fork, like when Bitcoin split into Bitcoin Cash and you got an equal number of Bitcoin Cash, you might think that's free money. Yeah, but the IRS wants their cut. Like if you're on a game show, you're on The Price is Right, and you win that brand new car, guess what? You're going to pay taxes on that brand new car. It caused controversy. Remember that Oprah show when she's running around saying, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, everybody gets a car. Yeah, and every of those broke people now got to pay taxes on that car. Converting cryptocurrency to fiat. Yeah, I read that part. Crypto miners are not left out. Mining operations are taxed as traditional income. Same with their fair market value of the blockchain money on the day it was mined. In line with the above, it is quite advisable to buy and hold cryptocurrencies for more than a year. Huh. All right, I'm learning something new here. Pay attention to this. In line with the above, it is quite advisable. This is not coming from me. I'm reading the article here. To buy and hold cryptocurrency for more than a year because short-term gains are taxed at your regular ordinary income tax rate, while long-term gains are taxed at a reduced rate of 15 to 23.8%, depending on the individual bracket. So short-term is what, 30% or more? I don't know that he didn't put that in here, but I think it's over 30%. But long-term is 15 to 23%. Lastly, cryptocurrency exchanges have started making tax reporting a higher priority. In the U.S., they have to if they want to do business in the U.S. For example, Coinbase now gives some business users the form 1099-K, which is a document used to communicate payment received in third-party network transactions. GDAX users are also taxed if they earned at least $20,000 in cryptocurrency-related sales for at least 200 operations in a calendar year. Other users are expected to use their transaction history to calculate their taxes. Many crypto enthusiasts have used services like Bitcoin.tax and CoinTracking.info, which collates their trading history and comes up with a clean output for tax return. Ultimately, be patriotic, pay your taxes. I like that concept. Bitcoin, I'm going to put the link here in the chat box of these two. And I'm going to look into them myself. Bitcoin.tax. I already have cointracking.info. I just haven't played with it enough to understand how it works, right? Because I don't trade on a daily basis like that. To make things smoother, and this isn't really popular because it's more like an employee. You know, as employees, the taxes are automatically pulled out of your paycheck, so you don't even see it. The reason why employees aren't up in arms with pitchforks is because by the time they see their paycheck, they don't know money was taken out of it. It's the out of sight, out of mind. Can you imagine if they paid the employee their full paycheck and then told the employee, all right, now you need to write a check to the IRS? Hell no. It might be simpler for the exchanges. I'm not saying I advocate this, but I'm saying it would save heartache on the exchanges and us if they automatically pull out whatever the required tax would be on every transaction. That would save a whole, it would be not popular because it seems like a more fee. But in the long run, it would save your butt. So that when it comes time for taxes, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're getting a 1099, they're not doing that. They're reporting to the IRS exactly how much you earned. And then it's your job, when you report your taxes, to say, yeah, here's my 1099, and now let me pay back the tax. So you've got to set that money aside to pay taxes. This is going to be, I see this being a nightmare over the next year. All right, in the last article, you want to know why the market, or other reasons why the market is acting and reacting the way it is. There is a whole lot of uncertainty around the world going on right now. A whole lot of uncertainty. And what I mean by that is it started with the CME and the CBOE, which was supposed to actually be a great thing, and it still is, long term. Because Bitcoin shot up to almost $20,000 a coin in December. And all experts have predicted that at best it might get to $10,000 a coin by the end of 2017. At best. That's what they thought. But when the big boys came into the place, the CBOE and the CME actually they kind of calmed the market down a bit because they bet on futures gains and losses. And so they bet the losses all the way down to around $10,000 to $12,000 for the market cap. The bottom, experts saying, might end up being about $8,500. Now, for Americans, or anybody in the world, and you want to get into the Bitcoin game, that's when you want to buy. I already gave a free tip the other day on when you should start to buy back into the market. I'm looking at it right now. Now is not the time. Not yet. Because everything is still in double-digit red for the last 24 hours. You've got to know exactly when it starts to level off, when you want to buy. And that's training that you'll get in our trading platform. But the point is, South Korea regulators went into overdrive in January. And they attacked all the banks and the exchanges on what we call a KYC, which is Know Your Customer. And that sent the entire market into a tailspin. Because those who wanted to remain anonymous were afraid they were about to lose, and they started to sell. On top of that, China had already banned. United States is being increasingly more aggressive against crypto. And then there were rumors that South Korea was going to ban all of crypto and exchanges. Well, yesterday their official finally came out and said, we are not going to ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Finally, an official statement on that yesterday. But then less than 24 hours later, India kills cryptocurrency. You can't ignore a nation of over 1 billion people. You can't ignore it when they do something this big. So the market is still kind of uncertain. People are still peeking through their windows, wondering if is it safe to come outside yet. The empire is swinging its sword right now. That's why you see the markets doing what they're doing. It's nothing but fear. And a little bit of market manipulation. But you're going to see it bounce back, and it's going to bounce back strong. I just can't tell you when that's going to happen. I can't tell you when, where, or how. So let's read this article about India. Arun Jaitley has just killed India's cryptocurrency party. It appears to be the end of the road for cryptocurrencies in India. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, in his budget speech today, stated that the government will do everything to discontinue the use of Bitcoin, everything, and other virtual currencies in India. He reiterated that India does not recognize them as legal tender and will instead encourage blockchain technology and payment systems. You see how the government does that there? That's step 3 there. You know, first you criminalize it, then you ban it, and now what are they doing? They want to co-opt it. Oh, they love the blockchain technology. They just don't like cryptocurrency. Why? Because cryptocurrency is decentralized. It's not controlled by any government. But they love the technology behind it. So if they can, you know, kick crypto to the curb and co-opt the technology and make it centralized, then all good. See, India jumped straight into phase 2 and phase 3. We're going to ban crypto, but we want your tech up. We want your tech. The government does not recognize cryptocurrency as legal tender or coin and will take all measures to eliminate the use of these crypto assets in financing illegitimate activities or as part of the payment system, Jaitley said. This declaration comes after months of speculation over the fate of cryptocurrencies in India, home to a large number of Bitcoin traders and investors. In fact, 1 in every Bitcoin transaction in the world takes place in India, and you wonder why the markets are red right now. The country, they just announced they're banning all of it. That's going to affect the market. The government will now either come out with a legislative mechanism or make suitable amendment in existing legislation to ensure that dealing and trading in cryptocurrency is made illegal and to penalize entities and individuals who are involved in their trade and circulation, said Monish Panda, founder of Monish Panda and Associates law firm. We will have to wait and watch as to what will be the final framework of such legislation. Over the last few months, the government and the Reserve Bank of India have repeatedly expressed their discomfort over Bitcoin and other e-currencies. Late last year, the finance ministry dubbed them a Ponzi scheme. All right, for those of you guys that want to call everything in the crypto space a Ponzi scheme, understand that governments are calling the entire Bitcoin network a Ponzi scheme. Watch what you say and come back and bite you in the ass. There is a real and heightened risk of investment bubble of the type seen in Ponzi schemes, which can result in sudden and prolonged crash, exposing investors, especially retail consumers, losing their hard-earned money, the ministry has said. Consumers need to be alerted and extremely cautious to avoid getting trapped in such Ponzi schemes. All right, I said it yesterday that those entities that are trying to use the form of we want to protect the people, those who are using that theory are ending up hurting the people in the process. And I rarely speak on this, but I will because Tanisha just brought it up. and this is important to note as far as BitConnect goes. If you followed my prime directive that I've been preaching since day one, you didn't lose a dime in BitConnect. What you lost is future earnings, and that hurts. When you're used to making 4 figures a day and all of a sudden it's gone the next day. But not everybody followed the prime directive, so they had more money tied in than they were able to afford, and they lost. And then you want to look at, okay, who is at fault for this? What caused this loss? The state of Texas and the state of North Carolina did 2 cease and desist orders. And that spooked BitConnect. BitConnect did not go out of business. It's still there. They shut down their lending platform, which in their eyes, which was causing all the trouble and the bad publicity. Do I agree with that? Heck no, especially not the way they did it. But I look at what forced the hand, because if it wasn't for the state of Texas and North Carolina, things would be still rolling. Every single person was getting paid. So by the state interjecting itself, they created the atmosphere which caused the loss. Same that happened with USI-Tech, TCC, and all the rest. That's going to happen next. There's no such thing as being an objective observer. You ultimately impact what it is you're observing. So in an effort to, we want to protect the people from Ponzi, you ended up hurting all of the people that were involved. You caused it. In India, in an effort to protect the people from Bitcoin Ponzi, you're now going to cut off the lifeline of what a bunch of people in India that had no access to financial wealth, you're now shutting them down. In essence, you are the criminal here by taking away a lifeline to your people. Just like I looked at the state of Texas, that just had to have the federal government step in with FEMA to help out with the hurricanes, where people and businesses lost everything. And now you've got the people had an opportunity, taking advantage of the cryptocurrency space, to create their own wealth, to create their own income that allowed them to feed their families because they had no jobs, allowed them to pay their rent, allowed them to rebuild their homes, allowed them to buy a new car or buy a new house, which ultimately helps out the economy of Texas, and they're paying taxes. They're not on the government FEMA checks anymore. Now you just shut all that down. Who did you hurt here? Who are you saving here? All right, that's my only rant that I'll have on that, because you have a lot of people who had no business investing in the first place, think they lost everything, and then they want to do a whole bunch of class action lawsuits, which is going to make things even worse. You got to watch and be educated on what the hell you're doing, and who's involved and who's to blame. All right, let me go into India. I'm running out of time. I got an ear doctor appointment in 15 minutes. All right, let me stop preaching and let me go into putting this link. I may not be able to read this whole, oh, I already was, well, I'm looking at Hong Kong. Hong Kong authorities kickstarts cryptocurrency investor safety campaign. All right, I'll say that for tonight. Let me go back to India. At the same time, the Narendra Modi government had also announced the setting up of a committee to understand the implications of virtual currencies and to ascertain the worldwide regulations surrounding them. Jaitley's stance today should now put to rest doubts over the government's approach. Other countries, too, have been jittery in this regard. For instance, in January, China was reportedly preparing to widen its crackdown on cryptocurrency trading. Nonetheless, Indian cryptocurrency exchanges held out hope, arguing that the government would maintain some balance in its regulations. Okay, so here's what I see is going to happen long term on this. Here's what's going to happen. China did the same exact thing last, what was it, September? August, September, right around the Bitcoin fork. No, after the Bitcoin Cash fork. Around the same time Jamie Dimon started running his mouth. And the markets took a dive when that happened. But the traders just went to South Korea and Japan. So there's no, like Bill Gates said, there's no stopping Bitcoin. So we may have to deal with a down market, a bearish market, maybe for another couple weeks. Also, the timing, we've got the Chinese New Year, where everybody cashes in so that they can pay for the Chinese New Year. So, and don't quote me on this. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't see a bull market coming back probably until March. And if you look at Bitcoin's history, that's around time it always does in every year. Probably around March, maybe April. I think it's going to kind of be stagnant. It's going to hover between the 8,000 to 10,000 range for a little bit till things start to calm down. When all this regulation stuff calms down and people kind of know where things lie, then you're going to see it. Oh, I love that, Andrew. March Madness. You're going to see it shoot sky high. So with that, thank you guys for listening. I am running late. I got to get to my eye doctor appointment. I'm excited. This is 2 weeks now since I've had my new hearing aid that for the first time in a year and a half, I can actually hear my voice the right way. And I ain't going to lie. I love the sound of my voice now. I haven't heard it in a long time. It's funny how you miss things. So I'm going to go in for my little checkup, and I'll be back later on this evening for late night crypto talk. If there's any more articles, the only one that just popped up for me that I find interesting is what's going on in Hong Kong. Cryptocurrency investor safety campaign. That's interesting. Hope you guys learned something new. If you like that, you're going to get a whole lot more with our education platform that we launch in a very short period of time. As a matter of fact, we are going to be having a special NDA call on Saturday, February 10th. I'm not going to say the time or number yet, because I know how y'all are. You got to sign the NDA to get on that, but we're going to have a meet the owners. That's right. You're going to be able to hear from the owners. 100% fully transparent, SEC compliant. That's what I'm talking about. With that, guys, thank you guys for joining us this morning. Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Bye-bye.